July 11, 1963. 10:54 p.m. The music at Small's Paradise was loud enough to make your chest vibrate. Horns, drums, glasses clinking, laughter layered over whispers. Harlem at night didn't sleep, it shimmered. At a small table near the edge of the dance floor, Margaret Johnson laughed politely at a joke she didn't hear. Bumpy's daughter was 18 now, old enough to want some freedom, young enough that the world still scared her mother. Her father had only agreed to let her come on one condition. You don't come alone. So she didn't. Her cousin Denise sat beside her, stirring a drink she was too nervous to finish. Two of Bumpy's men, dressed like regular patrons, lounged nearby, one at the bar, one by the wall. To most people they looked like background. To anyone who knew, they were the perimeter. At the bar, three men watched her. They weren't from Harlem. Cheap suits pretending to be expensive. Hair slicked back. The kind of smiles that never reached the eyes. They weren't looking at the band, or the dancers, or the door. They were looking at Bumpy's daughter. One of them, a lean man with a crooked nose, leaned in toward the others. "That's her," he said. "That's the one." "You sure?" another asked. He nodded. Picture didn't lie. The third man took a slow sip of his drink, eyes never leaving Margaret. "You know this is suicide, right?" he muttered. "Only if we miss," Crooked Nose answered. "We do this quick, we're out the back before anyone knows. Boss gets his leverage. Everybody wins." Everybody didn't include Margaret. At 11:06 p.m., she leaned over to Denise. "I'm going to the ladies' room," she said. "Come with me." Denise shook her head. "Gonna finish this. I'll be right there." Margaret stood, smoothed her dress, and started weaving through the crowd. The man at the wall, the one Bumpy had posted, watched her go, eyes scanning automatically for threats. He saw two men step away from the bar, drifting in the same direction. He didn't like that. He pushed off the wall, moving just a hair faster. But the crowd was thick. A couple slow danced into his path. A server carrying a tray cut in front of him. By the time he reached the hallway toward the bathrooms, Margaret was already gone around the corner. And so were the men. The hallway to the restrooms was narrow and dim, the music muffled into a dull thump. A flickering light buzzed overhead, making everything feel a little less real. Margaret walked quickly, head down, purse clutched to her side. She didn't hear the footsteps behind her until it was too late. A hand clamped over her mouth. Another grabbed her arm, yanking her backward off her feet. Her purse hit the wall and fell to the floor. "Shoo!" a voice hissed in her ear. "You scream, you get hurt." Her heart hammered so loud she could barely hear. They dragged her toward the women's bathroom door. One pushed it open with his shoulder. Inside, the air smelled like cheap perfume and cigarette smoke. Two stalls, a mirror, a small sink. And empty. No one at the sink, no feet visible under the stall doors. Perfect, they thought. The third man checked behind them, then slipped inside and locked the bathroom door. Margaret tried to twist, tried to bite the hand over her mouth, but the man was ready. He squeezed her jaw until her teeth screamed. "Relax, princess," he whispered. "We don't want you. We want your daddy to listen." Those words made the fear worse. This wasn't random. This was a message. They dragged her toward the far stall, figuring it would give them a few more seconds if someone came in. They never looked at the first stall. They didn't see the shoes. Polished, dark leather, facing outward. Waiting. Quiet. The man at the wall, Bumpy's man, had reached the corner just in time to see the back of Margaret's dress disappear into the hallway and three shadows follow fast. He didn't shout. Shouting gave people time to panic. Panic meant chaos. Chaos meant bullets going where they shouldn't. He moved. Past the couples. Past the band. Straight down the hallway. The bathroom door was locked. He heard muffled struggling. He didn't bother with knocking. He drove his shoulder into the door. Wood splintered. He stumbled in and stopped. Because what he saw wasn't what he expected. In the split second before the door burst inward, the three men in the bathroom were focused only on Margaret. "Hold her still," Crooked Nose snapped. "We just need a minute to get her out the back." The man with his hand over her mouth tightened his grip. The third man checked the tiny frosted window above the toilet, calculating if they could get her through it. None of them noticed the soft scrape of a stall lock. None of them saw the door to the last stall ease open. Margaret did. Over the hand clamped across her mouth, past the shoulder of the man holding her, she saw movement. A dark shape. Then a familiar hat. Ellsworth, Bumpy Johnson stepped out of the last stall like he was leaving a meeting, not a bathroom. He hadn't been hiding there all night. He hadn't set a trap just for this. He'd simply gone to the restroom between conversations, and the man on the wall had intercepted him with 6 words that changed the next 5 minutes. Your daughter. 3 men. Bathroom. Now. Bumpy hadn't run. He walked. Fast, but not frantic. Junie had gone to cover the hallway. Bumpy had stepped into the ladies' room, locked the far stall from the inside, and waited. He counted the footsteps. 1, 2, 3. The door opened. He listened. The sounds were ugly, a woman's muffled protest, a man's low threats, the shuffle of feet. He waited until the rhythm of their breathing told him exactly where they all were. Then he pushed the stall door open. Quietly. Nobody ever checked the last stall. They should have. Evening, gentlemen, Bumpy said. The man holding Margaret jerked, eyes going wide over her shoulder. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. The third man, the one by the window, reached for his waistband. He didn't get there. Bumpy's hand moved first. Not with a gun. With a straight razor. The same blade he'd carried for 30 years. Opened in one smooth, practiced motion. He stepped in close, faster than men half his age had ever given him credit for, the razor kissing the inside of the third man's wrist. The man screamed, dropping his hand away from his belt. In that same breath, the bathroom door exploded inward, slammed by Bumpy's man from the hall. Crooked Nose spun toward the sound, shoving Margaret forward instinctively as a shield. Bumpy caught her. Get behind me, he said, voice low, steady. She did. The man from the hallway, Junie's cousin, a solid block of muscle in a cheap suit, stepped through the broken doorway and closed it behind him with one foot, cutting the rest of the club off from what was about to happen. The 3 men were boxed in now. 2 between Bumpy and the sink. 1 still clutching his bleeding wrist near the window. None of them had hands free. You picked the wrong bathroom, Bumpy said calmly. Crooked Nose bared his teeth. We don't want her, he snarled. We just need her to get to you. You had me, Bumpy replied. Whole time. All you had to do was say hello. He took a small step forward. Razor still in his hand. Not waving it around. Just present. Who sent you? Bumpy asked. Nobody answered. The man by the window tried to edge sideways. Bathroom tiles are slick. He slipped. It wasn't dramatic. There was no cracking skull, no cinematic fall. He just went down on one knee. And in that small motion, the balance shifted again. Bumpy nodded once toward the hallway man. Take her out, he said. Daddy, Margaret started. Now, he said, eyes never leaving the 3. She went. Junie's cousin guided her backward, out into the hallway, then pulled the door shut again. For a moment, the bathroom was just 4 men and the sound of someone's ragged breathing. This can go 2 ways, Bumpy said. You walk out of here and deliver a message. Or you don't walk out. Crooked Nose spat on the floor. You won't touch us, he said. You start something here, our bosses. Our bosses, Bumpy cut in, don't know you're here. That landed. Because it was true. Men like these are rarely the official move. They're side bets. Half-deniable explorers. Sent to test what can be gotten away with. And if they die in a bathroom in Harlem? Somebody downtown just writes it off as cost of doing business. Bumpy knew that. He stepped back, closed the razor, slipped it into his pocket. The 3 men stared, confused. You came into my place. You put hands on my daughter. You tried to use my child like a key. His voice stayed low, but every word hit like a nail. I should leave you here. He nodded toward the floor. On principle. The man with the bleeding wrist swallowed. So, why don't you, he whispered. Bumpy's answer was cold. Because I want you to tell them what it felt like to think you had me cornered, he said. and then realize the whole time you were in the stall with me. He moved toward the door. If you're still in this club in 60 seconds, he said, you'll wish I'd left you here. He opened the door and stepped out, never once looking back. The three men didn't need 60 seconds. They needed 15. By the time Bumpy reached the main room again, they were gone, out the back, into the alley, into whatever car had brought them there. They didn't walk. They scrambled. With every step, they heard his voice in their heads. The whole time, you were in the stall with me. They reported back to whoever had sent them. Told half-truths. Security was tighter than we thought. She didn't fight, but he was waiting. There was someone in the bathroom. They didn't mention the razor, or the way their hands had shaken, or the way for 1 second, the man they'd come to use as leverage had looked less like a target and more like a mirror reflecting every bad decision they'd ever made. Downtown, the boss they answered to listened carefully, then lit a cigarette with a thoughtful scowl. He was in the bathroom? The boss repeated. Yeah, Crooked Nose said. Like he knew. Did he say who told him? No. Did he ask who sent you? Yeah. Did you answer? No. The boss nodded slowly. And he let you walk out. It wasn't a question. He wanted us to tell you something, the man with the bleeding wrist said. The boss raised an eyebrow. What? He said if we ever tried to use his family again, the man swallowed, he wouldn't bother talking to us. He'd talk to you. Silence. Then, unexpectedly, the boss leaned back and let out a single, humorless laugh. You boys are idiots, he said. They bristled. We did what you walked into Bumpy Johnson's own club on his own night, and you thought dragging his daughter somewhere as small as a bathroom was going to give you control, the boss cut in. You think small, you die small. He took a drag from his cigarette. Leave Harlem alone, he said finally. For now. He's too careful. And you three already showed him your faces. It wasn't mercy. It was math. Because a man who turned a bathroom into a lesson wasn't someone you hit with amateurs. Back uptown, Margaret sat at the kitchen table in the Johnson apartment, a blanket around her shoulders even though it was warm. Her mother fussed with a cup of tea she wasn't drinking. Bumpy stood by the window, looking out over the street without really seeing it. You went yourself? His wife asked finally. He nodded. You shouldn't have, she said. You have men for that. I have men to stand in hallways, Bumpy replied. I have me for bathrooms. Margaret managed a weak laugh at that, then covered her mouth quickly. I was so scared, she whispered. I thought. I know, Bumpy said. You were just there, she said. Like you knew. I didn't know, he said. I planned. He turned to face her. You think I let you come to that club without being close enough to hear if somebody said your name too loud? He asked. She shook her head, eyes filling. Dad, she whispered, they said they just wanted you to listen. Bumpy's mouth hardened. Then they should have written a letter, he said. He walked over, placed a hand gently on her shoulder. No one, he said quietly, uses my family as leverage. Not downtown. Not uptown. Not anybody. He squeezed once. That bathroom is the closest they'll ever get. In the days that followed, the story spread, reshaped in a dozen mouths. 3 guys grabbed Bumpy's daughter. He was already waiting on the toilet seat with a gun. Nah, he came out the mirror. Like a ghost. The last stall, someone would always add, dropping their voice. They never checked the last stall. The details changed. The core didn't. If you touch Bumpy Johnson's family, you are not the one setting the terms. He is. Even in a place as small, as ordinary, as a club bathroom. If this story of 3 men, 1 girl, and a bathroom that turned into a trap had you glued to your screen, you know what to do. Hit like so more people hear it. Subscribe for more true-style Harlem legends. And tell me in the comments. If you were Bumpy, would you have let those 3 walk out? Or would that bathroom have been the last place they ever saw?